See, now that's a sound in the past that I've complained about. At the moment it's appreciated, because although we've had nothing but rain for so long it's hard to remember, recently we've had none. This is the first rain for some time, and quite honestly the garden, and specifically the bonsai, could do with a splash. Freshen them up and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I mean, it's not even raining hard enough to get the patio wet yet. It's actually blown my chance. I was looking at the leaves were getting dry enough to probably be able to use the leaf blower. Now it's raining on them, so lost that chance. We'll get round to that eventually. Anyway, I didn't feel like doing much today. I watered my mounts. It takes 10-15 minutes, including mixing up a bit of low feed. So that didn't take long. Nothing else is getting watered today, but so I've been using my time up watching some videos, and what kicked off this thought process was the newsletter arrived from Jill from the Mathers Foundation, once a month newsletter, which also has their latest plant lists for sale. Without taking out a mortgage, I can't really get involved with their plant sales, quite honestly. You have to bear in mind a lot of the stuff they're selling is unique to them. You can't get it anywhere else. And as always, you know, rarity increases value. Nonetheless, they're always good plants. You don't get any nonsense. But Jim had a new video, which you've got, the link is in the newsletter basically. So I clicked on that and had a quick look at what he was up to. So I'm always interested. And I went back over the old videos, and you know I like my oncidiums and my odonts, and I grow cooler now. So they should be doing well, and they're not doing as well as they should be. In some cases they're not doing well at all. Quite a few of my Masdevallias are doing a lot better here than they ever did round the other place. And all the time in those videos, while I was looking at the plants and listening to what Jim said, one thing became very common to almost everything. And I'm going to do it because I don't get the heat in here anymore. So as far as the odontoglossum type oncidiums, I can keep it cool. Don't get the high temperatures anymore. I mean, Jim spends all the summer trying to keep the place cool. You know, actually misting systems and all sorts of things to keep the temperature down. It's important. They don't like the heat. So you sort of look at, well, you know, we keep it at 10 degrees in the winter time, and we let it get up to about 15, that'll do. And in the summertime it would be good if we could keep it below 20. Well, quite a bit of the summertime I can keep it below 20. So I've got the temperature range. I've got that. That's okay. His expression is cool, damp and dingy. That's what they like. Cool, damp and dingy. Well, dingy is the light level. That's his expression for they don't like bright light. So they've got two layers of shading. One comes over when the light's quite bright, and then the other layer comes over when the sun comes out, basically, because obviously it hits the glass house and, you know, would increase the light level quite dramatically. So double layer of shade. I don't need that. I don't get the sun. I only get the sun up one end for about, well, I don't know, 10-12 weeks at the most, and that's only when the sun's out. So I'm not worried about restricting light levels. I can restrict light levels by putting plants on a lower shelf with plants above them. So the plants above are shading the plants below. So we've got the temperatures okay, we've got the light level okay. Damp. Cool, damp and dingy. Damp. That's where I noticed something in the videos that I can do that won't cost a lot of money, and it could make the absolute world of difference for many reasons. So you know that I keep my Deesers in a tray with water in them. I've got loads of those trays. There's some here, and I've just bought some more. These are special seed trays. No holes. They hold water, which is why I got them. But that's not what I'm going to be using them for. What's very obvious when you just sort of stand back and look is that all of their benches are effectively lined with capillary matting that is kept wet. Now that provides the humidity in the immediate vicinity of the plants. What the rest of the glasshouse is like doesn't matter. It's the immediate vicinity of the plants. Now I've just had a look at getting some, and I found some on eBay, free delivery of course, Amazon 10 quid delivery, blow that. I'm not paying for Prime, so I don't order enough stuff. So basically I've got some capillary matting, and I think sometimes people actually work together. These are a standard size. They're a seed tray size. Virtually all seed trays are this size. You can get ones twice as big, you can get half sizes, but this is a standard seed tray. Now the capillary matting came in 80 centimetres widths off a roll basically. 80 centimetres. Guess how wide these are at the bottom? 20. So off of a roll I can get 4 pieces that will fit in the bottom here perfectly. And then it comes in metre lengths. So I ordered 2 metres. I ordered extra. I don't need that much, I don't think, but I've ordered extra because let's put it this way, 1 metre was nearly 8 quid and 2 metres was 10 quid. It's just silly not to get the extra metre, isn't it? Because that extra metre, what do I get? Well, it's 20 wide, so I get 4 pieces off of the roll. And at the bottom, these seed trays are 33 centimetres. 33, and another one, 66, another one, 99. That's a metre, isn't it? So out of a metre off of the roll, I actually get a lot of pieces. 4 across by 3 down. That's 12 pieces per metre. So by ordering 2 metres, I'm going to get 24 pieces. I probably won't need them, but eventually, if I'm going to use these with the capillary matting, they will eventually get algae and they will get a bit manky in time. But if I stick to RO water, which will evaporate clean obviously, it's like evaporating rainwater. I'll listen to that rain, that is wonderful. So 12 pieces per metre, and I've ordered 2 metres, so I'm going to get 24 pieces. And then I thought, hang on, I've only got a few trays. So I've ordered another pack of trays. So we've spent some of our pot of money. The pot of money is provided mainly by the memberships. So this is the people who've joined the Patreon site and the people who've joined my YouTube memberships. Those monthly contributions go into a pot, and it pays for new plants and kit as and when required. So this is what I'm getting at. That's what these contributions are for. So it shouldn't take too long for this stuff to arrive. Now, large pots are not really involved here, and I reckon that my normal odonts and oncidium types, I can probably get 4 in a tray, maybe only 3, yeah? But I haven't got a huge number of them. And then if I've got 3 or 4 pots in a tray like that, These are pretty strong. They don't bend much. They're pretty strong. I can pick them up with the pots inside and bring them over and water them a tray at a time. And that's the other thing you notice with Jim, with the odonts. They don't get watered much. Now, the pots are sitting on the capillary matting. In some cases, those are flood trays, like with the Masdevallias. It's a flood tray, so it actually fills up with water and the amount of feed that's wanted. They sit in it for a while and then it's drained out. But the matting stays wet, obviously, and that provides the humidity. I'm not interested in doing flood trays or anything like that, but I am interested in getting that immediate humidity around the plants from the evaporating water. All I've got to do is just keep that matting damp. And this matting per square metre holds 3 litres. So it holds a fair old bit. So I think it will give off a reasonable bit of humidity. And then the other thing is a little bit of science that lives behind what's going on. When water evaporates off of a surface, it provides a cooling effect. That's why some people say, you know, if you need to keep your roots cool, use a clay pot. Because evaporative cooling, you know, the clay absorbs some of the moisture from your medium, and as it evaporates, it produces a temperature drop. So the pot stays cool. Yeah? Well, we'll have the same effect here. As this water evaporates off this matting, it will be cooler than the air around it. So it will help keep the plants cool and supply them with that humidity that they really do need. These are cloud forest jobbies. So what's going to go in these trays then? Masdevallias, Restrepias, odonts and oncidiums, and probably not much else. If you look round at what I've got in here, the Miltoniopsis will go in the trays as well. The Coelogenes don't need that high humidity. They're okay without it. So they can stay as they are, especially as some of those are in big pots. The Paphiopedilums, they might benefit from it. Dendrobiums, no. And there isn't much else. I used to have lots and lots of different types, so I haven't anymore. But Prosthechias, they might benefit from it. I mean, up that end, there's a lot of Oncidium types up there. But, you know, we've got Masdevallias and Draculas here. They'll all appreciate it. The Zygos might appreciate that extra humidity. So a lot of things in here will appreciate being sat in those trays with capillary matting. What I will have to do is make sure this is adjusted correctly. This is my dehumidifier, and you might think, the boy's an idiot. He's spending all that time and effort getting the humidity up, and he's got a dehumidifier to promptly get rid of it. That's for the air, the volume of air. The trays and the capillary matting will provide immediate humidity around the plants. If the general humidity in this place gets too high, it starts causing rot, which is why I lost so much of my collection when I moved in here, because I was used to the old place where I had a lot more heat, and if I didn't keep that humidity high, the plants suffered badly. So I had a humidifier round there. I don't need one here, I haven't got the heat. But some immediate humidity around the plants, plus you actually generate, I know it's minute, you'd have a job to measure it, but you actually generate a little bit of air movement, because evaporation rises. It's a natural progression. Yeah? So that will produce a tiny little bit of air movement around the plants, because I don't have circulating fans anymore. I've got too many plants with fragile leaves to blast them with fans. And even if you look at the Mathers Foundation and Eric Young Foundation, Kew Gardens, all these places that grow gorgeous orchids in big collections, they have vast fans blasting away. They don't blast the plants. They're up above the plants. That's where they move the air around. Yeah, don't blast the plants with it. The only time I've ever seen a nursery as such where the plants were getting blasted was when I was a kid. Basically, I went to Keith Andrews' nursery, Cymbidium nursery in Plush, in near Dorchester, basically, and the ends of the greenhouses had huge fans dragging in air from outside. These fans are about 4 foot across, and the plants were bent over. They were absolutely getting blasted. They seemed to be doing okay, but you know, you couldn't do that to a lot of other types of plants. So we're on the change. We're going to do things a bit different. We're going to have higher humidity in microclimates around the cloud forest type plants. Now, I was also looking, while I was there, I was having a look at Jim having a walk around the Pleone house. Everywhere you look is shading, double layers of shading, shading here, shading there. They're shady plants, they're forest plants, yeah? So heavy shade. So during the growing season, mine don't need to be on top shelves, they only need to be up here when we're looking at them, when they're doing their thing with the flowers, which is quite nice to look at. But later in the year, when they've just got their leaves, they can go on a lower shelf. You know, they can go somewhere down here, something like that. Yeah, so microclimate around the cloud forest plants, which in my case are the Masdevallias, the Miltoniopsis and the Odontypes, and other Oncidiums. There's some Oncidiums do come from warmer climates. I don't think I've got many of those. I've got one, definitely. And you can usually tell them that the Oncidiums that come from the warmer climates, because they tend to be darker in colour and they tend to have thicker leaves, because the thin leaves, you know, really thin leaves that you get on a lot of the Odontypes and things like that, they dehydrate too much. So yeah. So we're on the change. So I've ordered the capillary matting, I've ordered some more trays, and when it all arrives we will get the scissors out and start cutting away and getting ourselves some nice little capillary matting that fits in here nicely. Now, the other thing that mustn't happen is the plants mustn't suck up the water from the matting. They'd stay too wet. That's a definite no-no with the odonts. You know, Jim said that they're damp. Just damp, bordering on dry compared with bordering on wet. They're up that end. That's all they need. So it's important that the pots don't soak up from the matting. Well, mine won't. If you think about the pots I use, let's just pick one up. I mean, okay, it'll be dirty, but just pick one up. Yeah, you would fall all over the place because I'm doing one hand, wouldn't you? Wouldn't make life easy, would you? If that was sat on the mat would get nowhere near those drainage holes because of the feet. And all my pots have got feet of some sort. So they'll be able to sit on the matting without the matting supplying water to the bottom of the pot. In addition to that, in most cases my pots have got crocking in the bottom, so we'll be fine. Well, I'm not putting that away now because it's annoyed me. So you can stay out now. And yeah, so that's the general idea. So instead of having these wire shelving that was brilliant round the other place because it allowed the airflow to get all up round the plants and everything, with the extra humidity that the big humidifier, I don't know how many of you remember Hurricane Hector, It's a memory jogger. I'm not going to explain. You either remember Hurricane Hector or you don't. But these shells were brilliant in that environment. They're not now because the whole of the air in here is relatively dry in comparison to what it really ought to be immediately around the plants. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to have a go at doing something quite different for this growing season. And as I want it for the growing season, we need to get on with it. So I've ordered the matting, I've ordered some more trays, and when it arrives I will take advantage of probably rearranging where some of the plants are as well, because in each tray I would like the same sort of plant. And the other thing I'm going to have to do is I've got to stop being lazy. When I do a watering run for my pots, I need whatever feed I'm using for that run if it's not a flush, and I also need some flush water. I've got to stop feeding plants that should not be fed because they've just been repotted. Yeah, so I'm going to have to start doing that. Jim makes a big deal out of that. I mean, get these repotted, get them in the mix, and so and so, so and so. We won't feed those for sort of 5 or 6 weeks. Every time he says it emphatically, and we won't feed those for so and so, so and so. So they don't get fed until they're searching for the food and the roots get going. So I'm going to try and do some adjustments. There will be a little bit more work involved, but basically, since things settled down in here and most things started growing a bit better, I've got lazy. Because first of all, why I lost a lot of plants when I moved in was I was watering too much. Things were too wet. They were staying wet too long, which meant things got stale. The moisture in the pot got stale, the media got stale. That needs to stop. So I had to stop watering as often. And when you stop watering as often, you actually sort of think, I've got nothing to do out here today. The next day, I've got nothing to do out here today. And after a while, you forget that now and again you do need to get out here and do some stuff. So the periods of, I don't need to do anything today, were getting longer and longer. Well, we're coming into the growing season now, so that's got to stop. This will be the last long break. And it's a long break because it's Friday afternoon now. It's Saturday tomorrow and I've got stuff to do to get ready for the show on Sunday. Sunday is the show. So I'm not back in here till Monday. Now, strictly speaking, my pots ought to be watered tomorrow. Well, they're not going to be. They're going to wait till Monday. It's an extra 2 days. Well, we haven't got the full day length, daylight hours yet. And we haven't got the increase in daytime temperatures yet. So to most of these plants in here, it's still winter. But I will show you, what will I show you? I'll show you a couple of things, because my mounted orchids are the things that are most reluctant to come back into growth. But we've got this one here, which is completely bare rooted. This is a rare plant. And down at the base there we have a green shoot. So this one's coming back into growth. Why that's a rare plant is it's a cross, but the is it that one? No, it's not that one actually. It's not that one. Erase that statement. Man speak with forked tongue. It's this one that's the rare one, because the that species, Jinghuanum, yeah, was only discovered 4 or 5 years ago, and it's managed to have been hybridized and get a plant to me. No sign of growth on that one yet, but something that is, this is my 3rd one of this particular plant. I've never managed to get the flipping thing to grow, and this is Dendrobium trigonopus, however you want to say it, and I can't get this to grow. It just rots and dies. So this winter it's had hardly any water at all. It naturally looks a little bit shriveled. It's not coming back into growth, but that looks like a flower spike to me, so we might actually see the blooms. Now all the other plants I've had never bloomed. One of them that I got from Trey was actually in bloom when I got it, and after it finished blooming it died. So I only had that a couple of months. We'll see what this one does. There's no sign of life in the plant, but it looks like it's putting a growth out. New flower spike, by the way. I'll be pleased if my Jenkinsii and my Lindleyi actually put on some decent growth this year, even if they don't bloom. That we will have to wait and see. But yes, so that's what's going on. It'll take me a while, because obviously I've got to wait for the stuff to be delivered, and then it'll be a matter of cutting it up to size and then pre-soaking it before I put the pots in, so I can see what's going on, see how much water it really does hold. And it might be that when it's new it takes a while before it sort of acclimatizes to being wet, so it might not absorb the moisture straight away. It might have to soak for quite a while, so I might have to put like ½ an inch of water in there to sort of get it going, sort of you know, initialize it, so to speak. But we will try all that out. And right, coming up, tomorrow is Saturday. I've got a lot of stuff to do to get ready for the show, not just the orchids I'm going to take, but all the other stuff, all the treasurer's stuff and everything. I've got some stuff to print off, membership forms, and so I've got things to do tomorrow, so I might not film anything to post as such. I'm hoping to film my Sunday chat tomorrow, which I will post first thing Sunday morning before I set off for the show. It's not a crack of dawn start. I'd be leaving here about 8 o'clock, I expect, to get there for 9, something like that. That'll be fine. As long as the plants are there by about 9:45, just to fill in the registration and you know, sit them on the bench. That's all I've got to do. And then I've got an hour while they're judging to set up the treasurer's table in the entrance and get everything ready for the public to come in, which is plenty of time really. And during that time the bacon rolls will be available. Yay! I want 2, but I don't ever get 2. I get 1 so that it's hot, and then when I've finished it I go back and get another one so that it's hot. You get 2 together, the second one's cold, and cold bacon's not that nice. So and I look forward to the bacon rolls and some coffee and getting myself settled in for when the public come in. So hopefully there will be a Sunday chat. Now Sunday, inconveniently, is also the 8th. So everything in bloom on the 8th won't be. It's highly liable to be on the 9th, which is a day I don't normally film. It's my day off, but because of the circumstances, you will either get the video from the show or you will get everything in bloom on the 8th late. I haven't worked out which way round I'm going to do that yet. I might do the everything in bud spike and bloom on the Tuesday and do the video of the show plants and everything on the Monday. I will see how I feel, so I'm not making that a definite. Anyway, so we've got some changes coming up, and yeah, some good information about the peonies, about their growing season conditions. As cool as I can keep them. Well, again, you know, they have humidity matting underneath them and quite heavy shading. I can do that. So we'll get them on the lowest shelves with plants above them to shade them. We'll get them in the trays with the humidity matting, and we will do what the experts seem to say, which is water and feed heavily when they get going. Water and feed heavily. So we'll see what we can do. And yeah, so just to chat about some changes and things going on and why. I don't just say this is what I'm doing. I always like to say why and the ideas behind it. Hopefully that can help some people think, well, that's no good for me, or that sounds just like what I ought to do. That's the object of the why. is it might not be suitable for you, you know. So we'll see how we go. And I felt like poking Jim in the ribs at one point because he kept going on about the Miltonias. They're all Miltoniopsis, Jim. You haven't got any Miltonias. Well, he might have some tucked away, but not on that shelf. They were all Miltoniopsis. And he doesn't seem to have got it in his head that they are different species. You know, they are totally different genus. That's what I meant to say. They're different genus. But they have got some smashers. So, right. So we will leave it at that. And yeah, we'll end on the Miltoniopsis because they are pretty special, aren't they? And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.